been killing all these suckers where they at, man. Seeing through your cat, cause my vision is a cat scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man. So I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. Call me Cat.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Bubble Dribble Podcast. It's your boy Kase, the realest basketball fan alive, and I'm live from Las Vegas, Nevada, West Side. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm here with Adrian out of New York. What's going on?
What's going on, Kase? Thanks for having me back.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thank you for joining. And I'm also joined by your boy Brax out of South Carolina. What's poppin'?
Oh, hey, man, you don't got to say I'm from SC. I'm not proud to be here.
Hey, man, but you standing strong, and that's all that matters, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, for sure. And today is definitely season 2, episode 1 of the Bubble Dribble Podcast. Just so you guys know, the Bubble Dribble is the media platform for our NBubbleA Fantasy League. But now what's going on is we're including the Court Fantasy League into this. And pretty much these two leagues are 30-team dynasty leagues, with NBubbleA using real NBA salaries, and it's also the sister league to the Court. So we got members from all different parts of the world. The leagues are pretty popping. It's been bubbling recently, and we got some good topics that we can get right into. So you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, for sure. So all right, for sure. So today's topic, I would say I'm going to start off by talking about how the pandemic ending impacted the Court season, and then talk about the rookie drafts within both leagues, and then close it up by talking about the power rankings and reactions and just other miscellaneous topics. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So as far as the pandemic goes, I guess I would like to say that we were in the first week of the playoffs when Rudy Gobert got diagnosed or tested positive for COVID and whatnot. So that kind of shut down the whole season. Yeah. So that shut down the season for everybody and whatnot. So thank God for the Discord channel, because a lot of the league members in the Court kind of stayed together and kind of kept in communication a little bit. So which led to us. We had nothing to do. We just said, hey, I'm trying to draft. We just wanted to draft. So we branched out and created a salary league, which is a sister league to the Court. And within this league, what we're doing is we're using G League teams instead of NBA teams. So it's a very interesting thing that we've developed here. And I would say the impact of the pandemic to the Court, what happened was we had to kind of split up all the rewards across all playoff teams. It wasn't even evenly. We kind of used like a mathematic equation that Chuck came up with to kind of distribute based on.
Yeah, it was tiered.
Yeah, okay, it was tiered. Yeah, correct. We had like 4 tiers, I believe. So that worked out pretty well. But I would say the things that really stand out from how that season ended is number one, just how the league seemed pretty lopsided for the most part throughout the season until the trade deadline, when all them playoff teams start trading their draft picks for upgrades to get into the playoffs. So that was very interesting to see that play out, and it really turned into a very competitive playoff outlook. At least it even had Chuck a little bit scared. He was kind of confident going in. So you know how Chuck and his historic Kings team was kind of dominating. Everybody was worried about that. So the pandemic coming around kind of put an end to that. Also, I remember we were kind of plotting in the background on, damn, how we gonna beat this team? so we kind of analyzed the teams, and we saw actually Brax had the best team that could defeat Chuck at the time, just based on team build and the schedule, like if they matched stuff. So, go ahead.
I made it a point to almost counter every single thing he did, probably to the point where almost a detriment to my team. Just to defeat the one. There was nobody else I was worried about except for the one.
Literally.
Obviously, not trying to downplay any of the other teams, but I was very comfortable in my position, obviously.
It's confidence.
So,
correct.
Right, and I found myself low seed and possibility for a first-round matchup, and I was trying to work behind the scenes to potentially match up with him in the first round, and it didn't work out that way. Obviously, the season ended 3 days into the first playoff week, but it looked like, based on where he ended up in the bracket, it looked like he had a pretty easy route to the finals. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say like I definitely feel you with the how you kind of how the landscape of the league kind of made you make certain moves to your own detriment. Because I definitely went through a similar thing. Because when everybody was worried about Chuck, like my tone was like, "Hey man, like he got to see us in the playoffs." Like I was comfortable because I was just looking at our team build. And you know what I'm saying? Like the way your team was built to beat him, like that's how the build I was already using. You know what I'm saying? So like I wasn't that worried about Chuck. Yeah, but I wasn't that worried about Chuck. But what happened was I started seeing all the playoff teams kind of step on my toes, and they started to go towards that build. I was like, this league is smart. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw a lot of you kind of go towards my build,
a lot of the top teams.
Go ahead.
A lot of the top teams, I was going to say, had really similar structures to the teams as far as the categories they were strong in, and a lot of it was countered to Chuck. I think I can't. I think it's like he's like punching blocks or whatever it is. A lot of it, especially even now, a lot of the top teams, the stronger categories for them are ones he is weaker in. So I think it's interesting how the league is kind of catered to him and working around him.
Very, very interesting. And one thing I did was I forgot who invited me to that big trade with JB and Kobe, the big 3-team trade and whatnot. But it was about to be a 4-team trade, but we cut it down to 3. And I just saw that as an opportunity because like all my players, like I had a set team, but I wasn't really having fun throughout the league because I saw all these trades happening. But every time I offered a player, I'll get yuck. You know what I'm saying? Because I had like Russ, DeRozan, like the team was well built, but they were just old. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just grabbing the old heads. So it was just interesting. I just saw the opportunity to get younger because I saw like Siakam and like Kemba in the even though Kemba's a little bit older, but I mean at least it gave me at least Kemba's build was opposite to what it was opposite to what everyone in the playoffs was doing. So I kind of thought, all right, this is my opportunity to one, get younger so I can have more fun within the league, and two, kind of yin when everybody is yanging. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of my opportunity to kind of get rid of the old heads. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Kase, can you please not talk about multi-team trades that I wasn't in, because it just triggers me and it makes me feel very sad that I wasn't included.
Well, I mean, you wasn't in the league yet, so I'm sure you would have butted your head in there somehow.
It doesn't matter.
But yeah, I was able to. But yeah, that's enough. I guess for that talk. But that's kind of how our season ended. It was just interesting to see how Chuck kind of, just changed the whole landscape of the field. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. But I like where we're going right now. We can fast forward into the rookie draft and whatnot. So I guess I'm going to turn to Adrian here so we can talk more about the bubble league, right? So as far as the rookie draft goes, right? I guess we can talk about. Let's see. So as far as the rookie draft go, I guess we can have reactions to value picks or even like top 3 bust potential. I don't want to call them bust because it's way too early, but I guess disappointments so far and whatnot. And I don't know, Adrian, do you have any reactions to the bubble draft picks and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting that we had the same team have all top 3. So he went Wiseman, Edwards, and then LaMelo. So I don't think you can blame him for any of the 3. I think LaMelo was definitely showing that was a great choice. And Brax, the team you took over, you weren't in the league yet. Hayes was taken 4th, which at the time I think was seen as fine. Everyone was expecting him to go between, I think I've seen him go as high as 2, actually.
For sure.
It definitely seemed like a good pick at the time. He hasn't had a good season, obviously, so far, so I think that one might be in trouble. Brax, you don't have him anymore, but Halliburton, I think, was a great pick at 6 by our dear Matt Lawson, who's still, I think, the only team now who hasn't traded. Oh, no, sorry, it's him and the Suns. The Suns hasn't traded either.
Okay.
So that was a good pick. I don't know. I mean, obviously, anyone whoever got quickly, who was it? Looks like the Herd drafted him at 35.
Okay, yeah. Okay, we're gonna get more into those. But Braxton, did you have something to say? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Maybe explain for those who are not in the league how like one team got all top 3 picks. Like, how was that determined? Like, who got what rookie pick?
Okay, yeah, let's rewind back to that.
I can share that. So from obviously the bubble started this past offseason. Like, I think we drafted in like late July or August or something. So
July.
The Go-Go Date Mike took picks 2 and 3 with his, like, I think 3rd and 4th round startup picks. So he already had 2 and 3.
So let me trace back and I guess explain the format and pretty much how that so pretty much in our inaugural draft we included all the players in the draft pool as well as the draft picks. So we didn't include like the rookie players in there, but we included like 2020 draft pick number 1, draft pick number 2. So you had the opportunity to either go with your veterans, or you could just draft all rookie picks for the most part, but you would have to reach the minimum salary. But yeah, go ahead, continue, Adrian, on Go-Go's strategy as far as picking draft picks.
So Go-Go with I think it was like his 3rd and 4th round startup picks, took picks 2 and 3. I had taken in my 2nd round pick 1, and I used that pick as part of a package to trade for Devin Booker. So it was really quite simple for him and how he ended up with the top 3, actually. Just one trade.
Yeah, nice for sure. And then, I mean, I'm just gonna run down I would say the value picks that I saw and whatnot, and you could kind of, I guess, sprinkle in there the ones that you like as well. But yeah, starting from an early pick, I would say Denny Avdia. I think just based on skill set, just watching him, I think him going as late as 10 in the bubble and 9 in the court, that could turn out to be a value pick in the long run. That's just by the eye test. Desmond Bane, I would say, it's funny because I think he got picked like the 30th pick in the real draft or whatnot. And, fantasy, we be woke to certain guys. So if you paid attention to fantasy circles, like, we were big on Bane. So I was surprised to see him going 19th in the bubble. And that's still a value pick at 19th, it looks like. He looks like he could potentially be a top 10 in this class. So, and then he got picked 24th in the court. Sadiq Bey is also a value pick, I guess, in the bubble because he went 26th. But I guess in the court he went 14th, which is I think is right for him. I think Theo Maledon, based on the potential opportunity he can get, he went at the end of the 1st round, so like 32nd in our league. So like, and Xavier Tillman, he went towards the end. I see his name being floated around a lot. I think that's a pretty value pick. Emmanuel Quickly, like you just said. He went in the 2nd round everywhere that I saw, and he looks like he has the intangibles, I would say. And I like to shout out to Peyton Pritchard as well, because him going in the 2nd round, the opportunity that he has in Boston, especially depending on what Kemba's fate could be over there, like Pritchard could turn into a value pick pretty soon. But yeah, Adrian, you mentioned Quickly, so you could probably pick up from there and what you like, since you're a New Yorker.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Quickly's had a great start to his career, and I think he's already been traded around a couple times. I think Legends has him now. He's pretty content, so I don't think he's moving from there, at least for the time being. Definitely by far, and there's no bias here whatsoever, Xavier Tillman is the best player of the draft. No, if you go look at my team in the bubble, I don't have him, but he is on the block, I've heard, and so. I'm kidding. I do have him. So, obviously I'm pretty happy with him. But yeah, no, it's actually been a pretty good rookie draft, and I think just overall, it's been pretty interesting. I think Kase, I've heard you say that it's just sort of been a great draft for people who just sort of know their role. You're not necessarily getting many superstars outside from maybe a couple at the top, and they just know where they belong, and so yeah, I think it's been pretty good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A couple picks I want to touch on in the court rookie draft that weren't mentioned. We saw Patrick Williams go 17 in the court, and I thought that was, as far as, you're talking later half of the first, it doesn't get much more of a value pick than that. He went 4th overall in real life. I personally thought he'd go anywhere from anything past 9. I thought he had the potential to go. And we saw, at least during the draft, him take a tumble, and with every ensuing pick, everybody in the chat was like, "Oh, like when is he going to go?" And then another one I really liked was Facu Campazzo with 58, and it's paying off now, at least not at first, but to get at least a couple weeks of solid production out of 58th overall, I think is really notable. And then Cole Anthony, obviously, at 18, maybe before the Fultz injury. Not necessarily a value pick, but he's taken on a larger role at this point, and maybe played himself into more minutes when Fultz comes back anyway. So.
Oh yeah, cool, definitely.
From Argentina.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Campazzo, yeah, I definitely think in both leagues we did a solid job of ending the second rounds. So if you look at those picks, I think they could turn into quite sleepers. So I was impressed with that. When it comes to Patrick Williams, I would say that, yeah, he went 4th overall in the NBA draft, but leading up to the NBA draft, he was actually ranked at going like in the teens pretty much. So it wasn't until the week prior to the draft that he just shot up the board. And I think just knowing the personnel in our leagues, I think we were kind of savvy to kind of look at that and be like, I don't know if I want to just jump on this one right here. You know what I'm saying? So but I do understand that you do make that. That's a good shout out, because just based on him, the draft capital that he has, and pretty much he's pretty solid, and also he's also the type of player that has potential to get you stocks, and we know how important that is in fantasy. So yeah, that could definitely turn into a value pick. Cole Anthony as well. I'm a big fan of Cole Anthony. I think he has a chance to in fact, this is my hot take. I'm gonna bring a hot take. Cole Anthony, out of all players in this draft, even though he's injury prone and like his whole career has been riddled by injuries, he's gonna last the longest in the league in this draft.
Wow, over LaMelo? Nice. Really?
Yeah,
that's pretty hot. That's a pretty hot take. Now, when you say last the longest, do you mean 9th man off the bench, or do you mean as far as
just playing off the bench, just or just like being like a old 37-year-old point guard that's still kind of having a role for a team
now.
Yeah, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or let me think of a solid point guard. But yeah, there's like Rondo or something. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Just kind of sticking around. But yeah, I think that's a solid list of value picks. I guess with that being said, and when it comes to these rookie draft reactions, just understand this is really tied to opportunities given. So that's why Peyton Pritchard is pretty big here. So a lot of guys have talent, but they might just not have the opportunity, or it could be injury. So when it comes to let's say the top 3 bust potential and disappointments that I have, I would say Killian Hayes. It's weird that I have him here because I like him the best in this draft as far as his all around game. You know what I'm saying? But it's just because of his injury and just the expectations of him. He's definitely up there as far as disappointments. But when he gets healthy, he might turn the corner there. Onyeka Okongwu, this is another victim of opportunity and whatnot. We'll see what happens with John Collins and the Hawks over there. And then Obi Toppins, he's a very controversial pick, another New Yorkian and whatnot. So, but what do you got? I can tell you the pick. So, Killian Hayes went 4th in the bubble, 3rd in the court. Onyeka Okongwu went 5th in the bubble, 7th in the court. And Obi Toppins went 11th in the bubble and 6th in the court. So Let me start with you, Brax. Do you have any other disappointments or want to speak on the ones that I mentioned?
So Hayes, I think, is really interesting because of the type of injury he had. You're looking at the same kind of injury that Isaiah Thomas had and derailed his career. And I think I do like that I think he opted for the surgery. So I think it's the right move this early in the season. I know that in the games he played, people were very unimpressed. Obviously, that's not saying much in the first few games of somebody's career. But I don't think, obviously, the injury isn't going to help. And I think somebody like Tyrese Halliburton, who some people would argue should have been taken over him anyway, as far as fantasy drafts go, already has shown that he was worthy to be taken there. And then, personally, actually, so the team I inherited in Bubble had Killian Hayes on it, and I was not. I'm not a Killian Hayes guy. I don't really know a lot about him, and I tried for so long to sell him for something that is comparable of perceived value. No biters. Got the injury, and then he basically turned into a throw-in in a big 3-team deal.
You're welcome, Brax.
Yeah, thank you. Which fetched me like LaMelo Ball and Cole Anthony and all that good stuff. Okongwu, I think, is potentially in the same situation as far as injury goes, and opportunity is another thing. He's looked okay in the limited minutes he's played. He's had the foot thing dealing with all year, and obviously the Hawks are in no rush to play him with how deep that team is supposed to be on paper. And then Toppin, I think, is a system issue. I mean, Tibbs is not a big fan of the rookies, and I don't know if he's going to be able to get that the playing time he needs in the next couple of years. You look at somebody like Jackson Hayes, who's kind of been blocked his entire career so far, and the Pelicans trading for Steven Adams and then extending him another 2 years to block Hayes from at least the starting spot his entire rookie contract. I think we may see a similar trajectory for Obi Toppin as far as his just his ability to contribute. I mean, somebody like Hayes wasn't coming off the bench in favor of Hernan Gomez the past couple of weeks, at least before Steven Adams got hurt, which is not a good sign. And similar draft capital, at least in real life, spent on both of those guys. So I think I wouldn't be surprised in 2 years if Obi Toppin was on a similar career trajectory as Hayes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, when it comes to Hayes and your offers, yeah, I almost bit, but I just have too much of a win now team. I would say. I mean, I guess he would fit my injury theme, whatever. But
Killian Hayes,
but I was
referring to, right?
Yeah, Killian Hayes. But Brax, I would say I wouldn't come at the Hawks like that, or you're gonna make Rish and Matumbo come on the next episode,
right?
but yeah, Adrian,
fuming. I can feel it.
But yeah, Adrian. Adrian. I something just hit me when you said you're welcome to Brack's trade that kind of helped him and whatnot. I got a new nickname for you because I mean I really appreciate like the what is it the how would I say, like I see some good. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. But yeah, you'll be a great point guard. You know what I'm saying? But I would say, yeah, but I would say that as far as I saw what Chuck did last year with trading, you know what I'm saying, and see what Justin came in this year to do with trading and whatnot. Now with how Adrian kind of facilitated, like so Adrian, I would say your new nickname is Tradrian.
Oh,
wow! I haven't heard that one before.
All right.
So yeah, with that Tradrian, well, what would you say as far as your 3 bust or disappointments within the rookie draft?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ones you called out are probably the right ones to highlight. I more or less agree wholeheartedly with Brax's review and analysis of each one. I've never been a big Killian Hayes. I'm honestly not a big college guy in general. I learn all the draft class with like the weeks leading up to the draft, and then figure out, all right, well, it sounds like this guy's someone I should take, right? Like I could name you for the upcoming draft class: Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, and nothing else comes to mind. So I'll figure them out in August, like when I need to.
Exactly.
So I think it is definitely still too early to tell. I think opportunity is definitely a big one, and that's how fantasy picks are taken, right? Teams like right now, like the Grizzlies, guys that get drafted by the Grizzlies typically go earlier than when they were drafted in real life. And then
speaking of the Grizzlies, can I just touch on something here? Let's take a look at Killian Tilly and where he went in the draft. Okay, he went 33 in the court, and honestly, to be completely honest, I don't know a lot about him. Right? Is he not on a two-way deal right now? Like borderline first-round pick on somebody who I don't think has touched the floor yet this year is a little bit questionable, and I think he went. Did he go right after Tillman in the court? Something. Let's take a look there. He went 2 picks after Xavier Tillman, and I don't know if there's a few. Obviously, on paper, he's a great fantasy prospect, right? But is the opportunity in the NBA going to be there? I think Grant Riller is another one where like the talent is there, but it's like he's on that Hornets team on a two-way deal, and he went 34 in the court. And like I said, borderline first-round pick for somebody who doesn't really have a path to playing time in the next 2 or 3 years. I think could be questionable. One more, I don't want to call it reach, but like surprising pick was Vernon Carey at 16 in the court. Went like 13 picks against or ahead of. First, it was a team that had obvious need at center. It was that Magic team who didn't really have anything. And he went about 13 picks before Isaiah Stewart, and Isaiah Stewart had in real life draft capital, way above Carey. And to me, Carey seems like somebody that'll profile as maxing out at like an Enes Kanter as far as fantasy goes. I mean, he's balling out in the G League bubble right now, but he's not doing much besides scoring. And I just think that was a really interesting pick to use at 16.
Brax, I think the ones that you're calling out are the people who don't watch college. Because I'll tell you, in one of my other leagues, I, with an early second, took Jamius Ramsey on the Kings.
Okay, right.
And quickly was still available. So I'm definitely kicking myself for that one right now.
I think Jamius Ramsey got in the other day or something. He might have played a little bit. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. No. As far as I definitely agree with you as far as Killian Tilly being a reach. But I will say that the fact that Portland is the one that drafted him, like I would actually say based on conversations within the court, he actually seemed the most knowledgeable about this draft. Because in fact, let me rewind back to. Because you did allude to as far as how great he seemed on paper. So that's probably what he's just doing. He's just grabbing him because, I mean, when was his next pick? You know, that's sometimes something that you have to do. If you just like a guy, you grab your guy. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't have another pick that was his last pick.
Yeah.
So if that's your last pick and that's your guy, I ain't mad at that. You know what I'm saying? And then as far as Grant Riller, that's actually someone that I was targeting. And I understand, like, it's interesting coming from you because you're a Hornets fan. So, like, as far as, I just loved him as a prospect. You know what I'm saying? So, you know how Adrian just said, just as far as guys from Memphis just get drafted higher. I feel a similar way about Hornets. Like, it's like a pool of opportunity there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I mean, just Grant Riller's skill set, it might not look good. I mean, they're deep. Hornets are deep in that guard position. I understand that right now. But I'm just talking like 2-3 years' time when, like, his contract is starting to, like, his last year or two of, like, his rookie contract, he might have opportunity there to, like, show what he's got. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not that mad at that pick as long as you're patient and whatnot. But I like to trace back to how you mentioned how much attention do you pay to these rookies before we actually draft. And you know how you say you just kind of do your research as the weeks before our fantasy rookie draft is coming up, like. That would usually be my approach, but this year was very different for me just due to the pandemic. So with the extra time and whatnot, and me just being aware that, all right, I'm about to, we just started the NBubbleA fantasy league, and and the fact that I had the court rookie draft coming up as well. So I was like, man, I better know these rookies, man. Like these leagues are pretty competitive. So if there's any competitive advantage I can have, like study this class right now, especially when everybody is of the mindset that this class is trash. You know what I'm saying? So I just started to do my research and whatnot. I was like, this draft is pretty interesting. Like, especially when I started to get deeper into like the second round, like I started to realize, if you really get like some late first round picks or like early second round picks, you can get some very solid like role players. And the thing about fantasy is role players are gold. You know what I'm saying? Because they fill up a specific category. You know what I'm saying? If you're great at one category, you just like an example is like Joe Ingles. You know what I'm saying? I know right now he's old and he's probably washed, but like in his heyday, man, he was a sleeper. You know what I'm saying? Because he would get you steals, threes. You know what I'm saying? Like he got you specific stats. You know what I'm saying? So
well, we just saw him do it the other day without Conley in the lineup. He can still do it.
Exactly. So like I feel like a lot of these players, when I noticed they were solid role players, I feel like they could be very this is a good draft to kind of grab guys that kind of cater to your build. You know what I'm saying?
I remember back in like I want to say like September when I was trying to trade with you in Bubble, you were like all hype about the second round picks. So
I was pretty big on that because because I was just thinking that these. I was just watching the pace of our draft, and I was like, "Yo, these second round picks are all going to be like free agents." You know what I'm saying? And then, I mean, to my luck, Adrian jumped on all of them. I'm like, "Yo, if you don't get out the way," you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I still got a bunch of them. I think I got some very solid picks and whatnot. But I would just wrap up this draft class by saying that just as I predicted that that it would shape up to be a pretty solid draft class as far as great role players. It's just packed with it. Even when you think of guys like Desmond Bain, you know what I'm saying? He's just such a great. Just think of him like what he could contribute to like a playoff. I mean, I know Memphis is fighting for the playoffs and whatnot, but just a solid playoff team, what he could look like. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just looking at these things, and I would say this draft was slept on because there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be playing some great roles on great teams, and I would say they're already starting to find niches pretty early, which is hard for rookies. You know what I'm saying? I would say an example is Jaden McDaniels, who he was actually probably my favorite player in the draft as far as value goes, because when I was just studying prospects over the summer, I had him in my top 10. I'm not even gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? So I just saw that he was raw. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, I was just watching highlights. I'm like, this guy looks like KD kind of. You know what I'm saying? But he just
his block rate is insane.
Like ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So even so I mentioned him to even that is that like he has potential to do all these things on the court, but to see him find a role to just block shots. You know what I'm saying? He just comes off the bench. Like sometimes I open my Fantrax, and I see like 1 rebound, 2 points, and I see like 3, 4 blocks. Sheesh. You know what I'm saying? So
that's all you need.
This is yeah, exactly. So this is a very interesting class. I love this class, just how colorful it is. You know what I'm saying? I love this class, and I will also say that even though we slept on the upside, it looks like the upside is looking way better than we expected. You know what I'm saying? Just looking at the top 3 picks, from LaMelo, how he's looking with the Hornets, even Wiseman, the little flashes he's shown, and then even Edwards, everybody kind of thought. I mean, he was very polarizing. A lot of people thought he was going to bust, but I don't know. I mean, I know y'all saw that dunk last night. I mean, not last night, but 2 nights ago, man. Like so far, that has to be dunk of the year. You know what I'm saying? That got to be dunk of the year.
I mean, I saw people saying it's one of the best dunks of all time. So,
woo! I mean, I got to trace back, but yeah, I was actually more impressed with the move that he did before the dunk, which was the little hezzy step back to kind of get Bembry out of the play. Like I think that's the part of his game that could take him to the next level. Because jumping and dunking on guys, other guys could do that. You know what I'm saying? But it's the IQ part that could really elevate him. So I would say So yeah, this is a good draft class. Great. It'll be interesting to see these guys develop. And with that being said, I guess we could jump into the power rankings of these leagues. And I would actually start here with the bubble and whatnot. And I want to rewind back to Adrian's article as far as when he wrote his prediction of power rankings, and I'll give him props because he when he listed his top 10, I looked at the standings last night, and 8 of those teams were in the top 10, and almost it was pretty similar to the order that he had. So props to you, brother, on that. So I will start with the number one team that we thought was going to be the best, and it's still at the top right now. Oh yeah, no problem, man. Number one, which is your team, Adrian, the Red Claws. Like you swindled trades after we kind of started off that beef during the drafts. that was pretty funny. So I remember I clowned your team for like, what was it? You drafted a draft pick. And you drafted Sabonis
first round, and
you drafted a draft pick,
first
right?
Overall pick second, yeah.
Yeah, and the first overall pick, and that was in the midst of everybody saying this draft is trash. You know what I'm saying? So, and then like, what was it? Like 45 minutes later or something like that, like Sabonis got injured. So yeah, that was that was pretty interesting. So it's funny because and Brax, just to fill you in, Adrian was clapping at my team because Adrian started it because I drafted Porzingis and KD. You know what I'm saying? So Adrian was like, hey, I think Kase because like me and Adrian never said anything to each other yet. So the first thing he said was, hey, I think Kase just filled up his IR spot. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, yo. I'm like that. I looked at his team and I saw injured Sabonis and his, what is it? Oh no, Sabonis wasn't injured yet, but it was, what was it? Sabonis and like a draft pick, and then I forgot what, but I said something about, damn, Adrian, you made like three picks already, you still don't have a team. But that was interesting. That was just interesting back and forth that we had. But I would say, you've turned your team around since then. The Red Claws is first seed in the bubble. How you feeling, man?
I mean, it feels good. The timing of the podcast is interesting because this is my first week at first. I was, I'm pretty sure I started really low actually, and I don't know if I'd necessarily. I mean, I think my team maybe looks best on paper just because I have a lot of big names. But in terms of like build and going up against some of the other competitors, Brax, you being one of the main ones,
wow.
I'm not exactly sure how I line up against them. I think it's definitely going to be a very interesting postseason between teams like the Clippers. We've got who else do we have?
The Mexico City, I think, is a big one with Rich.
Capitanes
overperforming. Yeah, absolutely.
He's overperforming.
And Bayhawks too. Bayhawks is, I think he gave me like a 7-2 pounding in the first week. So he's definitely one to watch out for as well. There's a lot of good teams up there, and the Knicks is still good, and it's been interesting.
I had Bayhawks pick. I had Bayhawks pick. I got rid of it. I got rid of it.
Well done. I'll say the team who's probably impressed me the most is, in terms of standings, is probably the 905. Sturgios, I think I'm looking at the article that I wrote. I had him at, where is he? I can't find him. I can't find where I put him, but I think I gave him a pretty low ranking. I have him at 23, and he's right now 7th. So he's dealt with injuries. He had Fultz. He's had Horford, who's been in and out resting. I think he's had a couple of other guys go down that I can't remember. And he's still, hovering there in the top 10. So definitely props to him. And I know he's been looking to make some moves to, I think, make a run for it. So been a pretty good season for him so far.
Oh yeah, for sure. When I say how you listed the top 10s in your preseason power rankings and two teams that are in the top 10, the two teams that you didn't mention are the 905 and my team, the Supersonics. So that's a interesting observation. It's funny because like my team isn't even like healthy to be top 10, but it's really like Jordan Clarkson that's kind of carrying the team on his back. So it's kind of interesting to see that play out. Yeah. So but yeah, I would say as far as the teams that's been impressive in the bubble are the Bayhawks, the Clippers, the 905 like you said, the Vipers, and the Capitans like we already mentioned. And I like to do a special shout out to Hustle just because based on his ranking that I think you had him way like one of the bottom teams in your preseason ranking. I
Man,
think
he is trying.
he's trying. Yeah, he's trying to fight for a playoff spot.
Man,
He's trying to get in there. Yeah, so shout out to him, man.
I mean, he doesn't have the pick. Might as well go for it.
He's hustling, man. Keep going, bro. I'm rooting for you. But yeah,
Tyler Harrell leading the way.
Tyler Harrell leading the way. But yeah, that's very interesting and whatnot. So I guess before we talk about, or we could probably stay here on the bubble and talk about the underwhelming teams. So I guess on my end, I would say is Kings because we all had them Chuck up there, but I think he has more of a team that has potential to bounce back. So we'll see. The Ford Mad Ants that's kind of been I guess a run on joke, throwing around his draft pick. But it's funny because like when I was watching him draft, I loved his draft. You know what I'm saying? So it's just interesting to see the outcome of his team and whatnot. And then Greensboro, the Swarm. I think he's slightly underperforming. So that's another team I would say as a potential sleeper that could bounce back. So who would you say any underwhelming teams, Adrian? Do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the ones you mentioned, Chuck obviously is by far the biggest one. I had him at first, and he's dealt with Davis now being out of the lineup for a few weeks. He had Thomas Bryant go down early. Tatum was out for the first few weeks with COVID. He's got Taurean Prince out. Fournier's been in and out, so he's been decimated with injuries. And hilariously enough, the one that stayed healthy is Chris Paul. But it hasn't been enough for him, and he's been struggling. Swarm, I think Ayton underperforming has been a big thing for him, but I could definitely see him bounce back and sneak into the playoffs. And yeah, the Mad Ants is the one that definitely has surprised me. I mean, I know he had Kemba out to start, but Westbrook, Gobert, who's been healthy, and he's got Sadiq Bey. So he definitely has the pieces to pick things back up. But you're right that his pick has definitely been getting tossed around as gold.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's a joke because people know his team could turn it around. So it's kind of like dangling it in front of him, like, all right, you gonna turn it around or what? Like you don't have your pick, you know that, right?
Yeah.
As far as the power rankings, we can switch over.
Underwhelmer, I'd say, is the South Bay Lakers. I think that one was a team with aspirations to compete, and I think currently in the standings is down at 23rd. So, we'll see if he can
just
turn
smacked around by injuries on that one now.
Oh, has he?
McCollum going down, Bogdanovich.
Right, and Wendell too, I think.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And quick shout out to Colby to turning around Ethan's team and trying to push into getting into the teens.
Man, I didn't think he was.
Yeah.
But it's good
man,
now.
man, you guys are impressive, man. You guys are impressive. Like, all right. So with that being said, I guess we could switch gears over to the court and whatnot, and talk about the big trades and how the landscape changed. Shout out to Justin, the new owner of OKC Thunder. He did such a great job of, not turning the team around. The team was already okay, I guess, but he made that team scary, dangerous. So yeah, shout out to him. And I like to also mention how the Nuggets and Timberwolves cashed out on their tanks and draft capitals. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, come back, man. You know what I'm saying? So the draft capital and all that. It's interesting to see how they cashed in on that, and now they're looking like playoff contenders and whatnot. And Zed is probably probably I would say the most impressive team, I would say, as far as just being a sleeper. You know what I'm saying? Like during the draft.
I'm such a fan of what he's doing, man. He's doing a great job. I think he did a rebuild the right way.
Yeah, me too, me too. Just from going from like a tank one season into saying, okay, look, I'm ready next season, and he's already like a top 5, 6 team. So, man, shout out to Zed, man, shout out to Zed and all the work he also does as a commish across both leagues. So, eventually we're gonna get him on one of these episodes. So, yeah, shout out to Zed there. Um, but yeah, Brax, you had any reactions to, I guess, Justin and Nuggets, Timberwolves, and
Well, I think we should start with just the two biggest trades that just happened in the past few days. I mean, you look at Tajir and what he did with the Pistons. Obviously, when he went in his draft strategy, he drafted these injured guys in KD and Klay Thompson. Took a huge gamble, traded for like Steph Curry. He had John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins. He traded for. It didn't have a pick, which is a little bit odd. I think he took a little bit of an odd approach to tanking, as he didn't load up on young guys. He more so traded for proven injured guys, and we're hoping they'd be ready the next season. And we just saw him the other day. He traded both KD and Steph Curry for Luka Doncic, and then jump starting the rebuild. Obviously, he's underperformed a little bit this season. What is he sitting in right now? 22nd place. And it followed it up by, like, the next day, I think, traded John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins for Emmanuel Quickly, who, by the way, was a second-round pick, and Josh Green. So he's fully kickstarted the rebuild now. At first, I didn't think he had his pick again, but he's got that thing top 20 protected, so he's going to go ahead and get that back, and hopefully he might be able to get a decent pick out of it. I think it's really changed the landscape of the league. You look at somebody like Miami, who had Luka and just, I don't want to say garbage, but
Luka and
stuff
Co.
around it, right? And he's turned it in. I think, in my opinion, Steph plus KD, the production of those two combined for the next 5 years is going to outweigh just Luka on his own. So,
Yeah.
I think it's really skyrocketed Keaton with the Heat to if not the top, he's definitely in the mix again, like he was last year. And then, the rich get richer. The John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins went to Oklahoma City for what some would say peanuts. I don't think it's peanuts. I think Emmanuel Quickly's pretty good, but as for a contending team, that's peanuts. It's really turned him into, I think he's got to be the favorites to take the whole thing. I mean, you look at his team here, he's got, like Porzingis, Draymond, DeMarcus Cousins now. He's got guys like Murray, Kyrie, Paul George. I mean, some of his best players aren't even starting on a full slate. He has players who would be better than anybody else on some of these other teams. So I think he's got to be the favorite now, overtaking Chuck, which I think is really interesting. So another surprise, kind of shifting from trade here a little bit, but more to just overall performance. I think the Toronto Raptors has really surprised at least me. I don't know about you guys, but I was really not a fan of what he was doing, and I'm not trying to throw any shade here, but he took Marc Gasol 3rd round in Dynasty Startup last year, which is not ideal. He was not a 3rd round pick in a redraft, much less startup. Obviously, there's a little bit of a 30 team to like a 12 team, but still, my point remains. He's really overperformed, I think, this year. He's got guys. One of the top players on his team is Evan Fournier, obviously besides Beal, but Fournier's missed a lot of the season. I don't know if it's because of a schedule issue or just his guys have been. He's just good team composition, but he really is sitting pretty in 5th place, while he was he was struggling to fight for a playoff spot last year. Another guy who I think
as Fournier is dropping damn near 30 on my head as I'm going against Toronto right now. He's stomping me into the ground 6-2-1. So continue.
Jesus. Another one who is kind of running away with 1st place right now. We'll see how long it lasts for. Is the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm a big fan of what he's done from the beginning. It kind of started when he got Devontae Graham in the 7th round in the startup. Immense value there. And
stupid value.
It almost single-handedly catapulted him to a playoff team last year because he hit on almost every single one of his other picks. So, his guys have just gotten better. He's got guys like Sabonis. I think he had Curry at one point. I can't remember what he traded for, but he's turned his team into a very well-rounded squad. He's got guys, somebody like Morant, who I think he took in the second round of startup, who is definitely a first-round startup pick now. So he's really just hit on everything. He's got a great team composition, very guard-heavy, but he'll blow anybody out as far as like threes and assists go.
I like to trace back to Luka because I think I have a hot take. Right,
okay.
With Luka, because speaking of that trade, how Luka and people are kind of complaining the value that Luka got. I mean, my explanation was, hey man, this is why even if you don't like Luka as a fantasy player, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have the first pick in dynasty drafts, just take Luka. Like, it's not a question. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the trade value that you could potentially get from him. You know what I'm saying? But speaking of that, since he always goes first in the dynasty draft, right? I have a hot take. Luka will never finish first in the fantasy league because of lack of stocks.
I think there's no chance. I just think the turnovers are too high. The stocks aren't there. I mean, maybe they'll get there, but somebody to finish one. I mean, look at the past couple of guys that have finished one. It's guys like James Harden, Anthony Davis, where it's got the well-rounded game.
Slander, guys.
You said what?
Watch the slander.
Oh, the slander, right.
Go ahead.
I just don't think – I think the idea of Luka, it's like Russell Westbrook syndrome. Everybody wants Russell Westbrook, but he's sitting outside the top – not right now. But the idea of Russell Westbrook is enticing to a lot. He's sitting outside the top 200 right now based on low percentages and turnovers. And so, sure, he can get the counting stats, right?
Yeah.
But if Luka ever take that next step to become more efficient and cut down on the turnovers – that's going to be able to propel him to number one. Because right now, the idea of like a younger James Harden type fantasy output is what is making people, value him at the first overall dynasty asset. While you look at somebody like Steph Curry, who's currently like number 4 on the year, he's outplaying Luka right now anyways. And then you add like KD on top of that, at least in regards to that trade. I think that side won that trade, period.
And I would say, as far as Luka, putting together his efficiency and cutting down turnovers, I think there is potential. Just looking at him being involved with the Mavericks organization, they're a well-run oil machine and whatnot. They were the number 1 offense last season, so I think Luka does have potential to like fix his efficiency. And I would say turnovers will be tough just because of usage, but
right.
He still has, I think, a lot of room to grow as far as 3-pointers made, especially if that efficiency goes up. But the thing that I just say he won't be number 1 is because of stocks, just lack of stocks. Because that's really a game changer when it comes to fantasy, especially when we're talking about top 10 players and whatnot. And that was actually a big reason why Chuck was able to win his bet as far as Tatum. Finishing, I think, what was it, top 10? Yeah, so he finished top 10 the first season. So I mean,
it was efficiency in the stock.
Like the efficiency is something that you could always see him doing because he did it his rookie season. It was really his stocks that you were kind of questioning, like, okay, could that ever come around? You know what I'm saying? So, that's just an interesting take on Luka. But yeah, continue as far as your talk. You just talked about the Raptors and you were moving on to let's say other, I would say, impressive teams and whatnot.
I mean, other than that, you look at somebody like the Nuggets, but we kind of expected that in the offseason after he flipped all of his picks for guys like Lowry and Dame. It's really familiar faces at the top of the standings. There's not a lot of shakeup here. I mean, a couple of the tanking teams are tanking for the second straight season. Familiar faces as in like the Suns and the Bucks and Warriors, Cavaliers, all those guys are hanging out towards the top. I think it's a little bit interesting how the Kings are not far and away in first place like we all, or not we all, but a lot of us anticipated. And I obviously
just dominating.
Yeah, I think McCollum obviously is playing a big part in that. Aldridge not playing much, and the disappointment that is DeAndre Ayton so far this season is leading him not to dominate. But how funny is that a disappointing start or disappointing start to a season for the Sacramento Kings is third place.
Yeah, for real. No, I mean it's also a factor of other teams just getting so good this season. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I have a lot to talk about. I mean I don't want I guess not in depth, but I have a lot of teams. So I guess shout out here. I would say one impressive team. I'll just run down my list. Pelicans. Oh, you did you talk about Pelicans already?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, Pelicans, Raptors, Jazz, like we said. Yeah, Raptors. It was Beal and Toby Harris is kind of carrying that team, and they're doing pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So that's very impressive. So I would say, oh yeah, Hawks. Even though they're not within they're not in the playoff
Man.
scene right now. I think it's impressive to see where he's at, just considering there's been no Isaac and Larry Markkinen, barely playing. You know what I'm saying? So as far as I thought he would actually just either trade. I wouldn't say trade Isaac because he seems like a big fan of Isaac, but I would say I thought he would probably just tank this season. But I guess maybe if I look at his team, he probably doesn't have his pick, so he's probably
no pick for him. Yep.
Okay, no pick, so he's just fighting. So I mean,
I'm just
shout out to
rooting for
him,
him
man.
to get.
Yeah, like the same way that you know how we were rooting for Hustle. Like it's interesting that they're both 17th seed. Like so, both 17th seed right now. I'm rooting
Just
for
on the
y'all.
outside.
Yeah, Hustle in Bubble and
Well,
Atlanta
in
Hawks
both
in the
leagues,
court.
I mean, it's like after once you get past like 17, 18, then you start hitting the tankers, and there's a huge drop off. I mean, you look at the Bubble. 18th is 71-70 and 3, and then 19 is 63-80 and 1. So there's a huge drop off.
Okay.
It's the same thing in the court as far as after like 17 or 18. Let's see what it is. 17, you start running into the 77.
Yeah, it's like a 5-game drop off.
You start running into the tanking teams. So there's really only about 18 to 20 teams, at least in the beginning of the season, competing for those 16 playoff spots.
And I actually, since I'm in that range, can I take something back? I am not rooting for the Hawks. No, I'm not rooting for the Hawks. Because in fact, I'm gonna get to my team, but I would say I'm in the underwhelming teams. I would say Pistons. After Clay getting injured, I think that kind of threw a whole monkey wrench in his whole approach, and that led to the big trade that you talked about with KD and Curry and him just changing his whole strategy. I would say Nets because I thought they would be up there with the top 5 teams just based on because I pretty much gave him my old team that had a great build. You know what I'm saying? But he had.
Yeah.
But he has
can I make a comment on the Nets?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm obviously new to the court. So I came in just a few weeks ago, and one of my first trades was with the Nets. And these two leagues are the first two I've been a part of where you do multiple matchups per week. And I think the Nets are a perfect example of this contrast. When I made a trade with him where I sent him Harrell for his first and Monte Morris, I think it was, he was first overall. So I took that to mean I was like, this is, going to be the 30th pick. Seems like a pretty fair trade. And he's right now sitting at 13th. So that's actually been pretty solid value for me because I think he's had a couple of tough matchups these last couple of weeks, and it's really just plunged him down. So yeah, it's very interesting how things can change so fast.
Yeah, no, because he had. I mean, the reason, a big reason I blew up my team too was because I was struggling to grab a damn center. Like everybody was so stingy with their centers, So that was just interesting. That was an interesting aspect. Like if you wanted a center, you had to pay. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he had Embiid already, that was just a great fit for him. So I mean, he's still going to be a tough out if he gets into the playoffs. Like, I mean, I won't be surprised if he wins it all. So I just based on him being 13th, like you said,
bad news for a top seed if he sneaks in at like 15 or 16, something like that.
Yeah, that's scary. That's very scary. So yeah, Nets. So that's why I have me underwhelming just because of the potential and Nuggets just based on the offseason that he had. Again, Ben come back.
Come back.
So come back. Get your team, man. The team is stacked, man. But yeah, both those teams should be higher. I think some other teams that are a bit underwhelming, but due to injuries, I would say. I mean, Bulls is hanging in there, but I think he could bounce back just based on Cat returning. He's been out for so long because his team is kind of really riding on the back of Cat. So he's within that 15 to 20 range that we were just talking about. To Timberwolves, also within that 15 to 20 range that we just mentioned. He had a great offseason, and I think just Trae Young's slow start, and he's also waiting on Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. to return. So that'll be interesting. And then also, my team as well, I would say, is also underwhelming. Just based on, I think just based on, I think my team has like Siakam, and then I was waiting on Kemba to return and whatnot. But I think I have a lot of like solid role players and whatnot. But it just comes down to I would say like injuries that I was kind of riddled with in the beginning, but it's also just a product of all these teams just improving so well. Like I'm really impressed with some of the teams that that you guys have put together in the court. So yeah, definitely I'll add my team in the underwhelming portion. So what would you say, Brax? Do you have like? Oh yeah, you already talked about all these teams. Do you have anything else to add before we switch gears back over?
I just want to add, I think probably one of the best well-rounded teams who's struggling a little bit with the injuries right now is the Boston Celtics. On paper, he's got a really solid team. But he's got guys like Dinwiddie and Russell and Christian Wood who have just been slammed with injuries. And I think
I'm loving it. I have his pick.
I think he could be another one of those teams that could maybe make some noise, at least for a first seed, if he ends up at like 15 or 16 in the playoffs or something. So.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's the court pretty much in a nutshell. So I like to reverse back to like some miscellaneous topics within the bubble. So Adrian, you still awake over there, right?
Alive and large.
All right, nice. All right, so I like to, I guess, hand the floor over to you since you're, Tradrian. So this is the Tradrian section. So we're gonna talk about trade rumors and before the deadline and whatnot. And the floor is yours.
Sure. Yeah. I just think we've got some fun stuff coming up with the deadline here in a few weeks. So it'll be really interesting to see what some of the top teams do and some of those middle of the pack teams. You guys have been talking a lot about the ones in the teens, and they'll be looking to make a playoff push, and who might just back out and try to get a higher pick and whatnot. So yeah, it should be interesting. But I'll tell you, and it's fun. I feel like I have to mention it given that Brax is on. I've been discussing with him in both leagues, the court and Bubble, for at least like 2 weeks now on a multitude of different trades and going back and forth on different options. And just nothing has come to fruition. Some things have been multiple teams, some have just been us, and it's been painful. So just wanted to call you out, Brax. I hope that the mulling is going well, that you're
it's going very nicely.
and hopefully coming to a decision soon on some of them. But it's been interesting for sure. Other things that I think have been interesting looking at here the last couple of weeks has been the 905 in the trade block. Where he's just been it seems like he's been copying and pasting like a same message and just reminding us all of what he's looking for. I think has been pretty enjoyable and laughable. So Sergios, I'll just say at least have the decency to write something new, man. Like no problem posting in the block all you want, but look at T-Choi. T-Choi is just throwing things left and right every day, but it's something new. So give it a thought.
Definitely. The thing about Sergios is funny though, that he picks players up off the waiver and then puts them right back on the trade block. It's like that. That used to be like that. It's funny because that used to be annoying when you see guys do that, but like he does it so much that it's like, all right, come on, B. Like it's interesting to have these kind of things within leagues and whatnot. So yeah, continue with your soliloquy.
Yeah, I think another fun topic has just been looking at the tanking battle. I know it's a thing in the court, but it seems like much more of a thing in the bubble. So I guess a reminder to all of you to properly set your lineups and tank within the rules. But that's been funny seeing some back and forth going on there. And yeah, I think just in terms of some of the league replacements, I think definitely a shout out to Brax and Colby for replacing Leon and Ethan. So I think they've both been great additions to the bubble, and definitely added become like core members already. I feel it's just been. I think I'd say my favorite league, the bubble for sure. So definitely got a good group of guys, and it's been a fun year.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was definitely. I mean, do you want to allude to, I guess, like, you know, replacement teams and whatnot, like you know, with the whole, you know, shout out to Leon and whatnot, like how, you know, how we have sometimes issues come up and whatnot, and how we're able to resolve them and move forward.
I think we've done a pretty good job. Obviously, there's a couple guys in each league that, maybe 2 or 3 in each league, that struggle with like activity issues. For the most part, I mean, you're looking at 25 to 26 guys who are, you know, very active, setting lineups every day, and in chat. And I think it's really impressive that both leagues have been able to put something together to that degree. So.
Okay, nice.
For sure, yeah. And nice. Kase, with regards to what you mentioned with Leon, yeah, I mean, it was definitely unfortunate that he chose to leave over a minor point regarding the exact salary cap. But yeah,
to my gain.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely inherited a solid team and made it much better.
It was awful.
Yeah. Well, you've done well.
He did an awful job. That guy was not a good.
But yeah, I mean, I think overall, it was handled pretty well, and you know, the whole situation was just sort of nipped in the bud. It was definitely, you know, very even, where people thought one thing. I think exactly half the league thought one thing, half thought the other. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all, you know, moved past it, and are in pretty good shape. I don't think anyone really remembers that incident, really.
I do.
Nice.
At least negatively, we'll say.
All right, cool. Any more closing remarks before we wrap this up?
Please come back, Ben. We miss you. Please.
Yeah, Ben. We're looking for you.
Where are you at?
Ben, you owe us money, actually.
Yeah. We're sending the dogs out. We're sending the dogs out. But yeah. Outside of that, it's all love. But outside of that, I would say, to wrap this up, this is all opinions, not facts. Anything you disagree with, leave us a comment, send a message. You know, we always want to debate and see other perspectives. You know what I'm saying? Next episode, we'll be analyzing the league landscape, new power rankings. You know what I'm saying? We got to bring more members on here, you know what I'm saying, as guests. So looking forward to all that. And with that being said, thank you for listening to the Bubble Dribble Podcast. It's the realest basketball fan alive, Kase, with your voice, Adrian, Brax, and we out.
Thank you.
Thanks, kid.
Man, seeing through your cat, cause my vision is a cat scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man, so I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. Call me captain, always gotta look for him. Beat so tight, I almost put a hook on it. Verse so fire, I almost put a cook on it. Had this shit jumping, looking like I put a foot on it. Got 100 on a dash when I book Sonic. Only game that I play, got a rook on it. Got a flow so hard that it looks solid. Y'all be cynical, pitiful, read a book, college. Running it, they was punting like Weezy and Baby stunting to Satan. I'm paying nothing to sofa like David Ruffin. All these niggas gossip about, get why they hating them. I ain't singing to these bitches, I leave that shit to Drake and them. Pull up in the all black, but I never was saving them. I was probably just slaying them. Nigga barely was dating them. I could do this till I'm 50 cause I rap with the cars. You gon' quit it when you 30 cause you rap in the car. Swear your shit up a song. I've been killing all these suckers where they at, man. Seeing through your cat, cause my vision is a cat scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man, so I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. I've been killing all these suckers where they at, man. Seeing through your cat, cause my vision is a cat scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man, so I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. I've been rolling dolo on them, I don't need me no robbing, so I be running through paper that be thick but no robbing. Man, I grew up in the city where them niggas be robbing. I ain't stressing, I ain't messing with a bird like a robin. Many niggas acting reckless, I approach it with caution. Finessing how I move, but go harder than Rob, man. Even at the bottom, I reach up for the top, man. This is how you elevate from worker to the boss, man. I ain't Mike Posner, I ain't posting too often, but I'm trying to run the the map from LA out to Boston. Relationship goes, what the hell is she talking? I'm just trying to bang go something like Andy Dalton. Niggas say they ballin', well, how much did it cost? And I ain't talking LA, but these niggas be dodging. Looking for the competition, feeling like I done lost them. Cause it's murder that I wrote, caught a coroner's chalk and don't get lost in the sauce fan. Suckers where they at, man, seeing through your cat, cause my vision is a cat scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man, so I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. I've been killing all these suckers where they at, man, seeing through your cat, cause my vision is a cat scan. Trying to get up in the game like I'm Pac-Man, so I'm blacking out on the track like I'm Batman. 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 Blacking out on the track like I'm Batman.